Hey guys, welcome to RC Video Reviews on Friday, November 15th. We are so close now to the holidays. Black Friday's right here. It's coming. Holidays are coming. My favorite time of the year. The weather is just so nice outside. So nice to get out and fly. The temperature now is finally manageable. The humidity's not too bad. I'm loving it. So look who got in first. Bill Z-Bear, and he won last week. See, that's what it takes. You got to give him prizes, and he comes in first. See how it is? You see how it is. You got to buy the vote. I'm just kidding. Was that too soon? That was too soon, wasn't it? I'm just kidding. Hobbies here. How you doing, Hobie? My phone was on silent. Oops, too bad. Damn, and somebody beat me to the like whip. That's right. You're late, Hobie. Very disappointed. Bill, listen to Bill cracking the whip now. Mark Drury, hi, hey from the UK. Been a while since I've been on for the live stream on ear for the live stream. Very good. Props off. How you doing, my friend? Glad you could make it. Hey, you guys know Props Off has a channel. If you're into FPV quads, that's the place to go. Check them out. Props Off. Check them out. Four Eyes FPV is here. Hello. Good evening. Kajuta. Is the J silent? Is it Kahuta? Or is it Kajuta? I got a funny story about that when I first moved to California. I'll tell you guys on some other PilotJam. I have to refresh my memory on it, but it was pretty funny. Had to do with that silent J though. That's a killer. Wowzy, how you doing? Glad you can make it. Stan Heaton says hello. How are you? Spin Launch Glide is here. Primetime overlapping with the Tyson fight. I'm a little morbidly interested in that one because I think that kid's gonna kill him. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Tyson's a tough old coot. D Griffiths is here. How you doing, Dan? HB Jeff is here representing from Canada. How are you doing? Our most northern state. Hobie's here. We already got Hobie. Auburn Spy. Hello. Robert's here, watching in the background. Still not 100%. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Robert. I hope you're better soon, my friend. Back on your feet. I know it's probably killing you not to work. Fast Freddy is here. Tyson tonight. I'm out at 8. Okay. I see where I rank with Fred. He's gonna watch the fight. J is pronounced, he said, so it's Kajuta. Okay, Kajuta, got it. Joshua Tree FPV is here. Ryan P is here. How you doing, Ryan? And I think Rabbleflight Ken is here. How you doing, Ken? It's been a while. Tyson for the win. We'll see. We'll see, man. He's got that old man strength. He's old school. That's an old school brawler right there, right? For sure. Hey, I made a little adjustment, and I think I was just kind of moving the chat window around, making it a little bit bigger to see. And there, I think I got it positioned right now. That looks pretty good. Oops, no, I see the problem. There's another problem. I got to make a correction here, guys. So the camera, I've been manipulating, kind of massaging the format a little bit, just trying to tweak it, make things kind of fit a little better. And I see the problem here. That one, that needs to go up there. Now we have a little bit of overlap. Now you move this up to the top there. All right, there we go. Sorry, working on graphics during the live stream. I just wanted to clear them up. It makes me crazy if things aren't lined up right. That looks much better. Okay, OCD at rest. All right, let's see. Who else? We got Robert. We got Kajuta. Okay, we got everybody. I ain't scared. Tyson for the win. All right, we'll see. Speaking of a heavyweight fight, huh? U.S. election, boy, that was a big one. A lot of change coming. A lot of new business going on in Washington. That's for sure. It's going to be a fascinating, at least 2 years. It's going to be fascinating to watch all that unfold. Lots of, and I got to give it, you got to give credit to the politicians this time. When it comes to the transition of power, it seems like everybody's in agreement, and whether or not you like it or hate it doesn't matter. What's important in the democracy is that we do transition that power, and that's happening. So at the end of the day, a lot of blowhards, a lot of big airbags out there blowing wind, but at the end of the day, there's going to be a nice transition of power. It's going to happen, and that's the way we roll here. That's what separates us from being a banana republic. So anyway, let's get into the week in review. As you can see, I have, a little bit of a heli focus, but that was a little bit by design for a couple of reasons. One of them was we got connected with at EdgeTX Fest. I got connected with Bert over at BK Hobbies, and he sponsored the event and brought some gifts and some giveaways and some swag and gift cards, swag and some gift cards and servos and stuff to give away. And then we connected, and I had him fly my Raw 580, and he said, "Wow, that's actually pretty good." And I explained that it had the Rotorflight Nexus on there. You guys saw the video. I did the video. So Bert, he did a great job with it, and he got curious about what was going on with the whole Rotorflight thing and EdgeTX and Radio Master. So we'll have a little bit of news on that later. Stick around. Oh, and by the way, there's a giveaway tonight. I'm kind of in the festive spirit. We're coming into the holidays. Let's give some stuff away, right? Let's be cool and have a giveaway. So stick around. Just giveaway. Oh, I guess if you're going to go watch the fight, you won't see it. Okay, well, that's okay. You won't get the giveaway. That's fine. Anyway, Bert Kammerer tackles Rotorflight. He did a great job. And what was impressive? There's the video. What was impressive is that we connected on the phone a couple of times. He called me and asked me a few questions, but from zero, no prior experience with Rotorflight or EdgeTX at all, he got a hold of the hardware that he needed. He got a hold of EdgeTX. He got a hold of Rotorflight. And I'm not going to say completely by himself. He had some help, but he owned it and he went after it and he got it figured out. So he's a super smart guy and he really understands helicopters. Obviously, he's like, world-class helicopter pilot. So he understands the helicopters. That made it easier for him. But the Rotorflight and the EdgeTX stuff and Express LRS, all three at one time. It was really impressive to watch that happen. The man definitely, he's right there. He's in beast mode. He's talking with Fred there. And he definitely went into beast mode getting that Tron dynamic set up. And what's cool about this is that, he's got a really solid understanding of PID tuning as well. So I might have some Bert approved PID tunes on my helicopters pretty soon, which is kind of exciting. So anyway, yeah, that was good. That was a good video. And then next up we had the China Hobby Line 6S5000s. How do these batteries perform? And all I can say about that is that these are the batteries that we flew in the raw. So that is if you're not familiar with helicopters, this is what's called a stick pack, and this is obviously set up for 12S. So these two batteries are wired in series. They slide into the helicopter, plug into the ESC, and there we go. But what I wanted to show you guys was that after the flight, and when it comes to China Hobby Line, the thing about batteries that I've never really, part of the reason I didn't really ever want to get into doing battery videos is because for every single person that says, man, those China Hobby Lines are great, there's another person that says, I can't stand those batteries. They don't work for me. And that's why I just really didn't want to get into battery videos. But China Hobby Line said, hey, we understand. Just, do whatever you think is fair. Just if you could test them, show them in your videos, fly with them, tell us what you think. And I thought that's a reasonable request. So for that reason, I said, okay. And I switched over. So this is a China Hobby Line stick pack. It's 12S. These are 6L5070Cs. What I wanted to show you after the flight, I did not condition these. So I'm just telling you guys, there was no conditioning on my part. But look, that's pretty good. Like we're 3.79 on the low end, 3.81 on the high end. That's actually pretty solid. That's pretty good equalization at the end. And then here's the other battery right there. Let's see, that one's got 3.81, 3.80, 3.79. That's perfectly reasonable for discharge after a flight, and that's where they went. Actually, and they still feel solid. Like I'm not no puffiness at all. And I can tell you right now, I've had some Turnigies that after a flight like that raw flight, they puffed right away. So these still feel pretty solid. And one other thing I want to mention about these, in fact, I'll mention it in the tough week, the next segment. So don't let me forget. Make sure you remind me to mention what happened with the batteries. Okay, but overall, what I intend on doing is I'm just going to fly with them. I'm just going to keep showing. And I know one of the guys asked if I could show IR. The answer is sure. Yeah, I'll show IR. I'll try and get some snapshots of where the IR sits as they're brand new. And these are basically brand new. Like they've had one or two flights on them. So basically brand new batteries. So I'll try and get that IR information and share that with you guys as well. And we'll see. We're just going to evaluate over time and see how they do. I have my fingers crossed that they'll perform well. I mean, I really hope so because I've switched over entirely. And I gave Dave all my other batteries, my old battery brand. And Dave pretty much flat out told me he's not giving them back. So if these don't work out, I'm going to have to restock on my own, which would be not cool. But anyway, we'll see. We're going to continue to test. I'll tell you right now, let me close this little segment out by saying that video, the purpose of that video was to put these batteries in a helicopter, flight test them, and make sure that we didn't see unwarranted voltage sag or unsatisfactory voltage sag, and that we got the flight time we wanted. And all I can say is they performed on both fronts quite well. Quite well. No complaints on flight time, no complaints on power delivery. They did the job. So that's it. But, you know, we're early on, guys. You know, we're early on. It's a process, right? We're going to go through the process. So we'll keep flying them for a while and we'll measure. We'll see how they do performance-wise. But I feel like I've got them really tuned in. By the way, 21.5 is the sag number on these. On the 70Cs, 21.5 is a pretty good sag number for these batteries, in my experience. And that's where I set my alerts. Okay. So anyway, that's it on the videos. The China Hobbyline helicopter video was the second part. Hey, why did that come on? What is going on? Rim shot, go away. That was the second video in a two-part series. One was fixed wing, one was helicopters. So we did the helicopters. Now I do have something else to show you. So let me check the comments real quick, and then we'll get into the something else to show you. Robert says, "Give me the raw 580." I don't know what you're talking about, Robert. I love that raw 580. You can pry that out of my cold dead hands, bud. I like that helicopter. Hobie, yeah, and by the way, Bert said he loved the way it flies. He was really impressed with it. RCVR uses Nexus. That's right. Every single helicopter I have right now has Nexus. Give me all the planes, says Hobie. How about that? But get your checkbook out, man. We'll come up here and we'll see what we can do. Hobie, I know I was curious if it was for a reason or he just hasn't tried the Fly Dragon yet. No, I just haven't tried the Fly Dragon yet. I just got the Nexus and went into it. I haven't had a reason to fly Fly Dragon. I know the Nitro guys like them because of the extra ports. I'm aware of that. I just haven't, I find something that works and I kind of stick with it. Let's see. I'll take the CNHLs all day, says Joshua Tree, and so does Hobie. What CHL 5000 weight offhand? That's a good question. Hold on. Let's get the scale. Sorry about the dead air, but I didn't have the scale handy, but there it is. There's the scale. We'll just turn that on, and there we go. It's set at pounds and ounces. Let's get it over to grams. There you go. So that's tared, 0 grams on the scale. We'll make sure that this is a 6L 5070C right there. Same as what I was flying in the raw. And I just want to make sure that everything is on the scale when we measure it. So it looks like 741 grams all in. And that's with the Velcro. That's with my Velcro on the bottom in this. So 741 grams on the weight. Okay. All right. Let's see. Stock up before the tariffs. Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen there. I use CNHL for my drones and love them. Whoops, that scrolled by too fast for me. Let me see if I can scroll back up and catch that one. Auburn Spy says, I use CHNL for my drones and love them considering performance, and I didn't cry when I smashed them in a crash. Yeah. I'll talk about that for a little bit. Stock up before the tariffs. Yep. I've had mixed experience with China Hobbyline BLK4S 1500s. Hey, Robert. Yeah, so far I really only have the white ones. I only have the 70Cs and everything I've been flying so far. So far my experience with these has been pretty solid. I do have a little like a 30C flight pack, but that doesn't count. There's not much demand on those. Not much. Radio Master in hand. Always got the Radio Master in hand, man. Always nearby. I'm running them in my Nitron Inspector. Okay, very good. Sorry, you're feeling of the weather. Give a next shot on my Gemini. I'm getting a Gemini tomorrow. Nice, very nice. I've got a Gemini on order. A Genesis, not Gemini. Genesis on order. The SAB, the little one. I got the little Sport. In fact, I've got the hardware for it sitting right here. We're going to talk about it. All right, I'm caught up on comments. Let's get moving into some material. Oh, I got a segment on About Dave. How about that? Let's talk about Dave. Let's see here. I just got to figure out where I put him. I think it's not there. Where did I put the segment on About Dave? There it is. I found it. I put it in the big camera. Let me set this aside so it doesn't distract from the video. But here, Dave doesn't join us on the live streams here in the studio, but he did. I told you guys Radio Master popped and supported him with the radio, right? So he's got something to say about it.
Ooh, check it out. I don't know if you know, but look what I got. I'm sponsored now by Radio Master. I don't know if I told you before, but there you go. And not only that, the gimbals are really cool. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're nice. I like it. And not only that, but look what they included.
Ooh.
That was a surprise when I opened the back of the radio. Very nice. I don't know if you knew, but there you go, man. I don't know if you ever seen these. I'll have to show you how they're great. They've got all kinds of features and stuff. I'll show you next time. Next time I'll see you. Okay. You may want to get yourself one of these. They're pretty good. All right. We'll see you, man. Bye.
Isn't that funny? Dave's gonna show me how to work the radio. And I hope he does. I hope he can show me some new tricks. Dave, you never know. That guy always shows me something new. So there you go. Radio Master. Thanks for sending Dave the radio. And we're gonna get him flying with that bad boy. That's for sure. We're gonna get him using it. So a lot of fun with Dave. Let's see. Okay, you love that radio, Dave. I have the same one. Yeah, that's a nice radio. Good pick, Robert. In fact, it looks a lot like this one, except this is Express LRS instead of the foreign one. So very similar otherwise. So anyway, a little segment about Dave. You know, we just want to include Dave in the live stream because he doesn't come over and sit with me. He keeps his, you know, he has personal obligations, so he has to entertain the family on Friday night. So that's fine. Yeah, this is our way of getting him pulled into the live stream a little bit. Okay, next up, rough day at the field. Okay, so let's talk about the rough day at the field. First off, let's go back to the blackboard, and I'm going to bring this one up first. So we were out now. When I told you guys I was doing the battery testing for China Hobby Line, and we were going to do the Raw 580 first. And the Raw 580, by the way, was tuned and flying really, really well, and it went up there. We were flying it around, having a good time. And during aileron TikToks, you can see the China Hobby Line battery came out of the Raw 580 and was promptly guillotined by the rotor blades on the Raw 580. And of course, that resulted in a crash. The Raw 580 was down hard. We lost the battery, lost the blades. And I also say that the other thing I wanted to say about this, and I'm going to mention it really quickly here. Let me bring that up real fast and hide the battery chop. I wanted to show you guys bkhobbies.com. Thanks to BK Hobbies Quick Shipping and all their stock on SAB equipment, I was able to go get all the spares right away and get them sent. And I have the Raw back in business, ready to fly. It's ready to remaiden. So thanks to BK Hobbies for helping me out with all those parts. I appreciate that, Bert. Thank you. But I just wanted to give him a little bit of a plug because, you know, after this crash, it looked pretty. On the surface, it looked pretty bad. Like it looked like it was pretty bad. I lost the tail boom, lost the blades. All 4 blades were gone. One of the landing gear, and then some of the ball links and all the servo arms. But other than that, it really, I think, to put it all back together and get it in working order again was really about an hour's worth of work. Really, I mean, it wasn't that bad. So anyway, it's back up and running and ready to go. Rough day at the field. I, for one, was fully entertained. Well, I'm glad you were, Fred. It always makes me happy. But you actually missed the next one, and the next one was, if you guys remember, I have a 67-inch Skywing laser, and the first one crashed. The second one tried to kill itself, and I've had that one for a few months now. I was out flying it all day on Saturday, and the last flight, it went in hard. It was not pilot error. I don't know what caused the issue. The best guess that I have at this point is that I did have a Hobby Eagle A3 Super 4 in there. And my best guess is that I did not lose electric. I did not lose radio as far as I know. I still had link quality. But what happened was I was inverted, kind of nose down a little bit, and it just locked. And on the way in, the wing shimmied really hard, and that looked to me like something from the gyro. So I couldn't issue any commands, or my commands were being ignored. I had plenty of time to recover. It wasn't like a low to the ground thing. But that laser went in, and it is a pile of toothpicks. So the thing that I told you earlier that I wanted to mention about the China Hobby Line batteries was that in both cases, both the raw 580, and you can see that picture is pretty clear evidence that those rotor blades, and if you know anything about helicopters, those carbon fiber blades, man, they're not messing around. They hit the battery hit the ground, and then on the Skywing laser, that battery crunched in too, because the airplane kind of went in. If this is upright, it went in inverted nose down like that, and it hit. I mean, it hit hard, and it crumpled the whole battery. But here's the interesting thing about it. Neither one of those batteries, the one that got cut by got chopped, got hit by the helicopter blade, and the one that was crumpled nose first, neither one of them caught fire. And that made an impression on me too. I thought, okay, that's actually pretty good, because I would not have expected. I would have expected certainly the helicopter one, because, that definitely seemed like a no-brainer that one would catch fire. And then this one, the way it hit the ground and crumbled, I mean, it was like, half the size. It was all just smushed, and it didn't catch fire either. So I was actually impressed with that. I thought that was kind of cool. So got to give them props on that. They seem to be built well. I'll put it that way. They seem to be able to take a punch without catching fire. So, if you go in, say that happens and the helicopter does not eject the battery, then, in that case, you have a chance of saving it, right? So that was what made the impression on me. All right, let's see. Let's see. I think this section should be called What About Dave? What About Dave? Okay, we could do that. Fast Freddy, rough day at the field. Yeah, you were entertained. It's the WAD segment. Yeah, rough day. It was rough, man. It was pretty bad. So Dave is salvaging what he can on the laser, and we're going to move on from that one. We'll try something else. We'll figure something else out. The David Knutz from the great state of Texas here. How you doing, Dave? It's been a while, man. Glad you could make it. Let's see. Where are you about to this dirt ball, John? I want to fly. Where are? Oh, I'm in Florida, man. Florida. Peter Curry. Good evening. Hello. Let's see. Spin launch glide. Give them props. You already gave them blades. That's funny. Any flight data given you? No. And here's the thing. I do have SD logging enabled on everything, but somehow, and I don't know why, the SD logging was actually disabled on that Skywing configuration for some reason. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I don't know why. And what's funny is I use telemetry, so it's not like it's a problem. So no, I don't have any data to share, unfortunately. All right. Okay, so that's it. Rough day at the field. I figured I'd share that with you and let you know. So the laser, that's not going to be around anymore. Maybe I'll get another one at some point. But the good news is there's another one right behind it that's backfilling it. So we have another 67-inch that we'll be talking about in the coming up section. How's that? So yeah, rough day at the field. But let me just show you guys something really quick. I just wanted to pop this up so you guys could get a look. That's the raw 580, and it is ready to go. It is completely ready to fly. Again, no problem. So new blades, nothing really wrong with the frame. Had to replace the tail boom on the back here, but I've got that replaced. And I actually swapped out the tail boom. The stock one comes with the orange painted boom, and I kind of like the black one better. So I put the black boom on there. But yeah, it's ready to go. No problems. We're ready to fly. And I'll try and take it out this weekend and fly it. We'll get some flight time with this one. I just wanted you guys to see it's okay. It's okay. One thing about helicopters, Bert actually made this point. He used to fly fixed wing, and one of the reasons he likes helicopters now so much is because they can take a punch and you can repair them. And I got to admit, it's true. It didn't take me that long to repair it. And I would say that if I were to look at both the laser and the helicopter side by side, and they were both damaged birds, even if I were able to repair the laser, I'm sure it would have been much more expensive than the helicopter. So the helicopter wasn't cheap, but it would have been much more expensive on the fixed wing for sure. Let's see. I've been working in Guam for a while. Ooh, well, welcome back. Hope you're back. Do you have UMA grip on your batteries? Not anymore, Robert. That's gone, man. It's all Velcro now. I did have UMA grip on. That's why that one let go. So no more. The UMA grip on the quads or on the helicopters, all gone. That's no more of that. It's Velcro or double-sided tape. Either one. But I'm using Velcro. Okay. Next up, RF single model. I have a really cool segment on this. I just have so many cool things to show you on this one. All right, before I forget, the first thing I want to do is I want to give a great big shout out to Offer Shmuley. You guys know Offer. He does a lot of development work on EdgeTX. He spends his time in the widgets and Lua space. Amazing guy. And the reason I want to give him a shout out is because Rotorflight has a technology where you can run a Lua script in the background. And I'll show you the Lua script really quick so you can see it. There it is. So in this one, Rotorflight ELRS, it runs, actually, that's not right. It's in special functions. There it is. There it is. So you can see in special functions, what happens is I have a special function that's set to on, and when the model is loaded, it runs this script, RF2BG. This RF2BG does a couple of different things. One of them is that it'll set your time on Rotorflight to match your radio. Now, the cool thing about that is that when you match your radio, now your flight logs will match up with what you know to be true in terms of time. So if you don't set the time on the Rotorflight, then your flight logs don't come off with the timestamp. So that little Lua script allows that to happen. But there's another thing it allows it to do. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in. But before I do, I want to point something out. So we only have to do it one more time. The last thing that I plugged in is the raw 580. And you can see the countdown timer right there at 6 minutes, right? Okay. Now I've got a bench Nexus and RP3-H right here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in, and they're already paired. It's Express LRS binding phrases, okay? So what I'm about to show you guys is a helicopter single model. Now, quad guys should know about this, right? I think most of the quad guys probably do know about it. But for helicopter guys looking at Rotorflight, this is kind of an important little technique, and I'll be switching to this technique. So let's pay attention to what's going to happen. Current model is raw 580. If I press the model button, you can look at the model name and it says raw 580. That's because that was the last thing that I plugged in and connected and bound to the radio. See, raw 580. And then we'll back out here and we see the name of it here and we see our countdown timer at 6. Okay. Now I'm going to plug in the Nexus right here. And what will happen is this RP3-H will bind, but pay attention to the timer and the name. See that? See how the timer switched to 2 minutes and the name switched to Kraken 580? So what's cool about this is that with that Lua script, you can push the craft name from Rotorflight to the transmitter, and you can also push the timer value, and I'll show you how to set it in just a minute, that you can configure, and it's stored on the helicopter. So in this case, I'll say the Kraken only flies for 2 minutes, and notice that the Kraken label and the timer both were pushed to the radio. Isn't that cool? Now, the reason I want to call out Offer Shmuley is when I first figured this out and I started messing around with it, I thought there was a widget called model name. And in that widget, I used that widget and loaded it up on the screen because I thought, oh, model name, that's exactly what I want to see happen. So I want that model name to appear right here. So when I loaded it up on the screen, it did change the model name, but only if you shut down the radio. It didn't automatically refresh. So that's no good. The process is you turn the radio on, then you turn on the helicopter. And when you turn on the helicopter, I want that widget to be refreshed, right? So I contacted Offer and he said, yeah, you're right. It doesn't refresh. I can fix that. And within, I think it was 5 or 6 hours, he gave me a new widget and it worked perfectly. So that's why I want to give a shout out to Offer. And while I'm giving a shout out to Offer, let's give a little love to the Express LRS guys for making this amazing technology and the Rotorflight guys, because in the latest Rotorflight, in the latest one that they just released, I think it's 440 release candidate 1, right? It's something like that. They just enabled, they enabled a new set of Express LRS custom protocols. So in other words, when you look at the radio configuration now, there were some limits based on the prior implementation. But when you look at the telemetry now, all of this information the count of telemetry packets, how many were skipped, cells, voltage per cell, head speed, VBAT, current, battery percentage, capacity, ESC temperature, your battery capacity, current, all of that stuff. That's all coming now through the refactored Express LRS telemetry, custom ELRS telemetry on Rotorflight. And that's on 2.1, right? 2.1. So anyway, big shout out to those guys on Rotorflight and Offer for making that possible. Now what I want to do is I'm just going to disconnect this one, and you'll see that connection break, right? Okay, fine. Now I'm going to go plug it into the raw 580. So give me just a second. Actually, all I had to do is plug in the raw 580. So now watch what happens here. My hand, see? Look at that. The raw 580 right there, raw 580, and the timer 6 minutes. Isn't that cool? And then also pay attention. So for you guys who, we were just talking about this, right? We were just talking about this guy. And you might say, well, how are you going to do a single radio configuration if you're going between 6S and 12S? And it's because we can do per cell voltage. So with per cell voltage, now we can calculate our battery percentage based on our current that's coming in. It's actually calculated. So Rotorflight calculates it because it knows the pack voltage overall, and it knows the current. So with that, it can calculate MAH, and we can get a battery percentage. And then here, it doesn't matter what helicopter I fly. I'm looking at the per cell battery peak. Now, granted, that's not all 12. I get it, but I don't fly helicopters unless all of the cells are in really good shape anyway. So this is how, with this arrangement, we can fly with a single model configuration on Rotorflight, right? Now I've got my name pushed to the model, so I know what I'm flying. I got my timer. I've got my voltage. So with that done, all the other configuration, all my stick motion, that's all the same. All my stick motion is identical. So the abstraction layer in Rotorflight takes care of the delta from helicopter to helicopter, right? But these stick motions are always the same. So pretty cool trick, right? But we're not done. We're not done. I want to go back to the desktop because I've developed a bad habit of skipping around. So I just showed you RF single model. Now the next thing I want to show you is RF ESC programming. So the next thing we'll do, and while we're in here, I'll show you that model configuration business. You load up the Rotorflight Lua. That's right here. Click on that. And you'll see Rotorflight 2.1.0 release candidate 1. That's the configurator you need to do this. Now, a couple of little tricks here. First thing I want to do is show you the model on TX. So when we go into model on TX, we turn that on, and you can set the name on the TX. When we turn that on, that's the thing that requires that Lua script that I showed you, the RF2BG. Remember the timestamp? It requires that. But if you have that running, then the craft will send the model name to your radio. And it does change the model name. I'll show you the return. I'll show you that in a minute. So that's how we get the model name to show up. And then the timer, you can set these parameters. Timer 2, I have it set to 360 seconds. So that's how I get the time of 6 minutes shared on the helicopter. And you can also pass a couple of other parameters too. If you click on this and scroll, you can see you can set timer 1, timer 2, timer 3, GV1. So if you want to store global variables, you can do that, and that goes all the way up to GV9, and then or none. Okay. So that, now to turn that on, let's go into settings, and you have to tell settings model on TX show. So you go into settings and say, I want to see this. And then when you see that, you will see model on TX as a menu item that you can select right here. Okay. So set name on TX, set your timer, beautiful, perfect, single model configuration. Now the next thing I wanted to show you is another new feature, and that is ESC programming right from your radio through Rotorflight. So again, you have to go into settings and say, in my case, I'm running a Hobbywing Platinum V5, so I set that to show. It also works with Flyrotor, Scorpion Tribunus, and certain YGE. I'm not clear exactly which firmware. I think you have to get a special firmware from YGE for this to work, but it will work with a YGE servo. But it works with a Hobbywing and a Scorpion. That's pretty much all I use. So set that to show, and then once you've done that, then you'll see this menu item right here. And when you scroll up and click on it, you'll see, there it is. There's the hardware profile. and the firmware that it's got, what flight mode. Now you're going, wait, fixed wing, it's a helicopter. It's because I use Rotorflight for my governor. So when you do that, the best thing to do on the ESC is just set it to fixed wing mode. You can set your BEC voltage, your LiPo cell count right here, your voltage cutoff type, and the cutoff voltage. I have mine disabled because I'd rather lose the battery than the helicopter. And then if you are running a governor, you can set your governor parameters right here. Isn't that cool? I think that's pretty cool, man. These guys, they're really making this ecosystem hard to ignore. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm calling it like it is. You can't ignore this. How can you ignore this? It's fantastic. So now we can control not only can we manipulate our Rotorflight in here, we can now manipulate our ESC settings. We can pull data off of the Nexus, and we can set all of our parameters right here on the radio. I've done videos showing you how to do it while you're flying, but you can also do it right here on the radio if you're just doing a little bench testing and tuning. So it's absolutely fantastic. And then the last thing I want to show you, and I believe this one is offer as well, and this is the new version of the Rotorflight configurator that'll be the graphical instance of Rotorflight configurator. So in this case, that screen that I was just showing you, the PID screen, for example, we can click on that and there are your PIDs. So this is intended to be a touch interface. Now, the problem is that this CPU is not really fast enough to handle all of this very well. So I'm not going to bother trying to click on it, but the new CPU, no problem. No problem. This will be plenty fast enough. So now we're going to have a nice graphic interface for tuning Rotorflight. And yeah, I'm kind of excited to see where this goes. I think the developers are just doing a fantastic job. Fantastic job. So anyway, there we go. Just a couple of little goodies I wanted to show you guys. A little bit of technical stuff on what's going on inside Rotorflight and the helicopters. There were a lot of updates in that in that 2.1 release candidate 1. A lot of updates. So there we go. All right. Next up is Q&A. But even with Q&A, that's still only like halfway through. Don't worry. Plenty of material to get through. But I'm going to unplug this helicopter first. We'll set this battery aside. And by the way, if you guys, the one other thing that I asked I asked for help on was I said, hey, if we can store a timer value on the Nexus, then we could read a GV and set it on the Nexus as well, and then have it read back when we load up. Or alternatively, since the Nexus knows about things like head speed and telemetry, then why can't we add a flight counter and have the Nexus report a flight counter value to us as well? So that's the other request that I kind of have, is if the Nexus is smart enough to hold that value right there, that's 6 minutes, then it should be smart enough to hold flight number 7, right? That should be no different, which means if it'll hold that and it can report a value like the model name, then it should be no problem at all to get a flight counter working on this as well. Now, I say that sitting from the peanut gallery, okay? I'm not a developer, so I'm not coming from a position of authority. And then the last thing I wanted to show you guys, because I made a point of bringing it up earlier, is so there's the Kraken 580, right? Now, I want to show you the model configuration, how that has changed now. That model name has changed now to Kraken 580. So I almost kind of wish that they'd have one more field maybe that says, what is the profile of this thing? Because now what happens is when you go to look for your helicopter, now it says Kraken 580. So you just have to get used to it. You can see in my case, in my helicopter configuration, I already got rid of all my other helicopters, and the only thing I have in here is Rotorflight PID tuning and whatever the helicopter is. So I know that when I load that up, that it will pull in, it'll pull in my helicopter configuration. And then when I connect the Nexus, I should see that name update to whatever helicopter I'm attached to. Okay? So that's still a little bit kludgy, but it's fine. It'll be fine. Okay. All right, let's see. Do you use iNav? Yeah, I used to use iNav. It's been a while. I've never really been all that thrilled with iNav, to be honest with you. I have to give it a try again. I know they've made a lot of development effort. I need to try it again and take a look. But yeah, iNav, I know it's constantly improving, but I never really bonded with it, I guess is the best way to put it. Okay. Blackboard, this time for Q&A. Let's see. Yodcaf, he says, hey, you've always had great content. That's a great price for batteries. I never go below 3.8 during a flight. I'm a weenie. Yeah, 3.8. If you're stopping at 3.8, you're definitely leaving a little bit on the table. I would suggest you can go lower than that. 3.6 is definitely safe. So 3.6 volts per cell, no problem with that. So that's what I'd recommend. Let's see. Mike G 4936 says, wow, I did not expect to hear Bert say he did Rotorflight setup all by himself. Well, I mean, he did the work, right? No question. He did most of it by himself. He did get some help. He got a little bit of help, but still, he did the effort. So he invested the time. What can you say? I mean, the man, like I said in the video, he pretty much went into beast mode, man. That's all I can say. It was insane to watch it because he got it configured really quick, and his helicopter flew quite well with it. So let's see. I was impressed. I'll put it that way. Let's see. The RC Aviator says, yeah, I'd come loose too. He was referring to the battery flipping around in the movement that we saw in that helicopter, and only the UMA grip and Velcro holding it. He said, yeah, that bad I'd come loose too. And it did. So all I can say is for helicopters, if you use an UMA grip, stop. Let me be the poster child for that one. Don't do it. Get rid of that stuff and use Velcro or tape. All right, let's see. Hatsvid says, I'm looking for a small Type-C charger. As now, these models still prone to issues? Do you have any other low-cost recommendations? So I have no idea if these B6 Neos have ever had any hardware modifications from the manufacturer. If they did, they didn't say anything to me about it. So all I can say is I still would not recommend these. If you need a low-cost charger in this class, maybe look at the 608 ISDT 608 PD or PD 608, whatever. That little one, that's not bad. But at the end of the day, if it's your primary charger, I would say don't be cheap about it, man. Just get a good charger. I tried to be cheap and I suffered for it. I wound up paying more for it. So just get an iCharger. Get an iCharger. They're awesome. iChargers are fantastic. And Hodas are good too. I do like Hodas. Hodas are good chargers. They seem to be. My only issue with Hoda is their screen colors. They're too dim. Like they need to work on their presentation a little bit. Like when you're outside in the sun, it can be difficult to see the screen. Let's see. Doug says, your videos have been a big help to me getting back into RC with modern equipment and on OpenTX. How do you do flaps with S-Bus and Reflex? That is a really good question. You can't. Reflex doesn't understand output for flaps. So what you'd have to do is maybe use a S-Bus, like use a EPW6 and S-Bus out to the Reflex, and then steal one of the PWM pins for flaps. That's how you do that. So that's it. That's it on Q&A. Short night on Q&A. You guys are kind of quiet. They've come a long way. Yeah, I'm sure they have. I admit, I got to try iNav again. That AR Pro put a bad taste in your mouth. That's still hands down the best video crash course. That was impressive, man. It went right into the cage too. It went right into the netting. It was perfect. So yeah, that was definitely impressive. But yeah, you're right. It did left a bad taste in my mouth. And I also don't like all this business about tuning servos. I don't want to do all that crap, man. Just come on, figure it out. It's the only platform I've ever used where you had to tune servos. Like I don't know. I just don't like it. It's okay. It's okay. I know people get them to work. I understand that. I'm just moving too fast, man. I'm moving, shaking. Things are happening. I don't have time to play around with that stuff for too long. Okay, BK Hobbies. I told you guys I wanted to just give Bert, a little bit of love because he's been great. He's been very helpful to me. And I also wanted to point out, I was talking to one of the guys on Discord. It might have been Kajuta. We were talking about this idea of shipping, and he said, nothing's cheap for me or fast. I live in Washington, and it seems like everything comes from the West Coast. I told that to Bert, and he said, tell him that we do free UPS Select over $300. So 3-day select shipping. But the other thing about BK that I wanted to share with you guys, because I kind of felt like I was involved in this party, is that up until last week, they did not have Radio Master on the BK Hobbies website. So make sure you check out BK Hobbies. And it looks like he ordered everything. Like he's bringing in everything Radio Master. In fact, we can click on the brand over here and hit Radio Master and filter. Yeah, there's the list, man. He's got it all. So he's getting all the Radio Master stuff. So even if you don't fly helicopters, make sure you check out bkhobbies.com for Radio Master stuff. And I do not have an affiliate link, so that's just a recommendation. They're actually local to me too, and that's part of the reason I got my raw finished so fast is because they're nearby. So when I placed my order, I had it the next day. So anyway, just figured I'd share a little bit on BK Hobbies and also give you a look at the little Genesis that's on the way in. Isn't that a cool looking little helicopter? Genesis, that's a 420 class, and I figured I would show you since we're sitting here looking at it anyway. I figured I would show you what's coming in. So I've got a Hobbywing Platinum. That's a V5. So this is the type of hardware you put in these little helicopters. Of course, we'll do an RP3-H and a Nexus, of course, right? That's no doubt. And then the servos, I'm a big fan of these KSTs. These KST X12 508s, check them out. Go look up their specs. They're solid servos. So at 8.4 volts, 6.2 kilograms, 0.07 seconds. They're quick, they're strong. These are nice little mini servos. And then we've got the BLS 0705M. That's the rudder servo for that one. And then I'll be powering it with an Ego Drift. I'm kind of an X-Nova snob. I like X-Novas, but these Ego Drifts are competitive. They're priced competitively and they deliver the power. So 3220, 960 kV, that's the Ego Drift motor. So that's the hardware necessary for a little 420 class helicopter. I've got everything here waiting for those to show up. I'll get that helicopter built. We'll get it out and made in it. And if I'm lucky, I'll get Bert to fly it and let him chuck it around for a while and see how things are going. So little Genesis 380, man, that's kind of a cool looking little helicopter. And from my understanding, this was supposed to be the pattern helicopter, F3C, right? F3C is what they call it. It's supposed to be a pattern helicopter, and I guess it wasn't. They didn't like it as a pattern helicopter, so they made it a sport 3D helicopter. Which, you know, for me, that sounds fine. That's fine. I like the way it looks too. It's kind of cool looking. It reminds me of my little buddy 380, right? It kind of reminds me of that one. So anyway, Props Off says, man, John, you got all the toys. Well, you know, the channel has been good to me. That's all I can say. And the patrons have been good. They help out, and they're the ones that, you know, I get to get this stuff and try it and test it and tell you guys what I think of it. So yeah, I've been blessed. No question about it. Ratatat RC says, BK has good deal on servos. Oh, do they? Yeah. Yeah. But they carry it all, and they know what to carry too. They carry the right stuff. They carry good stuff. All right, so that's a little plug for my new friends, bkhobbies.com, and thanks again to Bert for all his help. He's been very gracious, and we've been having a good time, kind of connecting and talking about helicopters. Always fun. All right, let's see. What size quad would you suggest for short range running mission planner and iNav props? Okay, good. You guys are going to talk about quads. That's fine. Next up, subscribers, 40K. We're going to hit it in December. I mean, there's always some possibility that something crazy happens. We hit it in November, but I don't think so. It's looking like middle of December somewhere. So we're just under a month away from hitting 40K. And I want to let you guys know that I have put out the word to the sponsors and asked if they'd like to get involved and donate, make some donations. And as I figure that out, you know, that's still in work. I don't have a solid answer on that yet. But as that becomes more firm and I get a better understanding, I'd like to have some kind of 40K celebration. That's a big mark. 40,000. That's a big number. I'd like to have a little party on that one. So we'll look for a live stream on that special, live stream special. We'll celebrate the channel a little bit, maybe find some good videos, some funny stuff from the past, maybe look for some blooper stuff. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And of course we'll give some stuff away, right? We got to do that. So 40K is right around the corner. 67-inch Ed says the Kinger 111. Well, how about that? Your timing. Oh, wait, we're on the giveaway. Sorry. Hang tight, the Kinger. We're going to come to you in just a minute. But I've got a giveaway. So let's get into the giveaway. You guys know the deal on the giveaway, right? You know the rules. So we have to do the rules first, don't we? Let's do the rules. All right. Giveaway group. There it is. Giveaway rules. I just have to read these because people, even though I've even put all this detail in it, I still get people that are confused about who's the knucklehead that cannot get the numbering right. This is the second time And you know what's funny is I knew last time there was a number. I'm going to fix it. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Was that so hard, John? That wasn't too hard, was it? All right. Rule number 1. The winner will be picked by software from comments on Wednesday, 11/20. So 11/20 is a Wednesday. That's coming up. And you have to use the word gimme or gimme in your comment. Some variation of that, because that's what I'm searching for. So if you don't use that, then your entry won't count. You can enter as many comments as you want. So you can go in and spam the system, get as many in there as you want. I will announce the winner on the 11/22 Pilot Jam, which is 1 week from tonight. So on the Pilot Jam next Friday, I'll announce the winner. And only on the Pilot Jam. I will not send you an email. I will not tell you in comments. I won't call your mom and tell her to call you and tell her you want a battery and send $300,000 to the prince in Ethiopia. The only place that I'll announce is on the Pilot Jam. That's the only place. Okay. Now, after I announce the winner, if you win when I announce your name, you're the only one that should do the next thing. This is the part that seems to confuse people. If you win, I will announce your name. I'll say, hey, this person won. If you're the winner, then you, the winner only, sends me some form of government issued ID showing that you're over the age of 18 by 11/23/2024 at 2100 GMT -5. That email goes to john@rcvideoreviews.com. You must include an exact mailing address for your prize. Exact mailing address. No mailing address, no prize. And we will laugh at you and shun you and make fun of you, and I will pick another winner. And that's that. All right, I'm not kidding. You got to give me an email address. You better be over the age of 18. I don't deal with minors. All right. If you have a parent, the parent can send it. I don't care, but it's got to be some idea. I only deal with adults. Number 4, no comms via Telegram. There will be no other forum, guys. It's only the channel, okay? Only on the Pilot Jam and email. That's it. That's the only way I will communicate with you. No email, no prize. I will select an alternate winner, okay? So that's that. You guys understand? I hope everyone understands. It's sad you got to do all this stuff. And by the way, YouTube's not affiliated with this giveaway in any way, shape, or form. This is all on RC Video Reviews. But here's what we're going to give away. I told you guys, Hodas are pretty good little chargers. This is a T8 smart charger and checker. Brand new. And this is a decent little charger. I'll put the covering back on so you can see it. That's a Hoda T8 smart charger. It does up to 6S. It's got some outputs for power and servos. Outputs XT60, fans on the side, output USB on the back. Input is up to 35 volts, DC. This is DC only charger. And then in terms of the specs, let's take a look at the specs real quick, because this is actually kind of a beastly little charger. So real quick, it'll do they put this in English? How about that? On the back. Input voltage up to 35 volts. That's kind of cool. Charge power, 650 watts. Discharge power, you can do a recycle to external or normal mode. You get 20 watts. It's about right for this size charger. 1 amp of balance current at 4.2 volts. And screen size, USB output, just standard 5 volts, 2 amps, standard stuff. And it supports LIHV, LiPo, Life, Lion, LIX, whatever that is, LTO, nickel, cadmium, nickel metal hydride, lead acid, and the N loops. So, and then on the output side, you can measure PWM, you can measure S-bus, that's kind of cool. You can measure voltage, and you can output PWM, PPM, S-bus, and it has a little power supply up to between 5 and 22 amps, 1 to 35 volts, constant current, constant voltage mode. And it weighs 194 grams. Kind of a nice little charger. T8, and that's a freebie. Gimme. You can be anywhere in the world. I'll send it to you. The only thing you're responsible for are VAT and taxes. I'm not paying your tax bill, and I'm not paying your VAT bill, but I will send it to you, and that will cost you nothing. So it doesn't matter where you live. I'll mess with putting it back in the bag later. And it's got a little USB cable in there too. Okay. So gimme. You got a little Hoda T8 smart charger, 650 watts, right? That's pretty cool, man. That thing's capable. Nice. All right. There's the giveaway. You guys are getting spoiled. Too many giveaways around here, man. You can enter as many times as you want. There's no doubt. Put the gimme in the comments after the chat. Gimme. That's right. Enter as many times as you want. Comments go in the video after the chat. Don't forget that. That's where in the comments, you can't see him now. You have to wait till the video's over and then you can see him. All right, next up is the coming up. So how many spams to YouTube gags you? Who cares? Who cares, man? Just spam them. Spam them. Hit them hard. Hey, if they're going to let me, we're going to do it, right? I mean, it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. Just go after it, right? That's the way I think about it. All right, let's see if I can figure out where the heck I put all these pictures. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back up because I want to find the comment that was made earlier. It was, where is he? The Kinger, 111. Will we see the EF 67-inch Edge soon? So, guys, there it is. The Edge is ready to rock and roll. Notice it's got the China Hobby Line battery in there, 6 cell, 5,000 or 4,000. I'll try both and see which one I like the best. 67s are kind of in that borderline space. They can do good with either one. It kind of depends on the aircraft. So I'll be flying. I'll try both, see which one I like. But it is ready to go, and we're flying tomorrow, and we'll try and film it tomorrow. Isn't that a beautiful looking plane? Thanks to my boy Dave for putting it together. He did a beautiful job assembling this plane for me, and we're going to fly it. We finally got it ready to go. We're going to get that bad boy out and take it for a spin. I can tell you, after flying the 78-inch Edge 540 again, I was so impressed with that airplane. It was absolutely amazing. And what's sad is that my skills have changed since the last time I flew it. So when I took it out a couple weeks ago, I thought, man, this thing is really impressive in the handling department. So I was happy with it. And then I thought, oh, I have the 67-inch too. So I'm really excited to try this one out. Robert says that's hands down one of the best paint schemes I've seen. That is sweet. Yeah, it is. It is, man. They did a good job. And you know what's the other thing that's going to be really cool about this is the way that's going to pop in the sky. That's going to look good. That's going to look really good in the sky. I am anxious to try it. Can't wait. We're going to fly it tomorrow, man. It's going to be like Christmas for me. I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to fly the Raw 580, fly the Edge 540, and we're just going to have some fun. We'll film it for you guys and we'll bring some flight video back and we'll hopefully have something, some content during the week for you. So that's what's coming up there. And of course, we've got the, I've already covered this, the Genesis is inbound. That hasn't arrived yet, but when it arrives, I'll get my hands on that and we'll get it built. The Ryan P says, any word on the AM7? That's a really sad situation with T-Motor right now because I just don't understand what they did. They just kind of went dark. So, the answer is no, I don't know. I've asked. In fact, not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, I pinged T-Motor and I said, hey, you guys were going to send me a motor for an 85-inch plane, and I've been waiting for the 85-inch plane to come back in stock. And I have one in mind. You guys probably know what it is, but I've been waiting for this plane, waiting. And I contacted them like, hey, when this plane comes back in stock, are you still going to send me the motor? And they said, yeah, we're going to send you the motor, but we don't know if we're going to go into production with this or when. So, we'll send you the motor. You can do things, but don't even bother doing a video. And I thought, well, that's a really weird thing to say, right? You'll send me the motor. Don't do the video. Don't know if we're going into production. I don't know what to think. So I wish I had better information for you, but that's all I know. The last word that I had on this officially, and if you go look at the Extreme Flight website, at the bottom of their page, they have a little thing that says, this certificate indicates that we are the official U.S. importer and distributor of T-Motor. And I think it's the T-Motor fixed wing line. But when I talked to Tim at Joe Nall, I asked him about this. I said, hey, what's the deal? He goes, business as usual, man. Nothing changes. We're still using them. We're still going to have them. We're still, advocates for T-Motor. So I really just I don't know. It's just a weird situation, right? It's a weird situation. So anyway, that's what's coming up. And then Robert says, after seeing all these amazing planes you've been getting and realized when you started that Bixler 2 as the pride of your fleet. I love that Bixler 2, man. That's a good airplane. And I got to be honest with you, Robert, if the government weren't involved and they got the hell out of my life and let me do what I wanted to do, I'd probably still go out and fly that Bixler. I'd put it up at, 2,000-3,000 feet and fly it, 5-6 miles away. I love that. That was fun. It was relaxing. I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's, you gotta do what you gotta do now, right? I saw Genesis at RFK in 1986, says Bill. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. So you guys know what's coming up. Also, I'll be getting out the Avanti 90mm again. I want to get some video on that. I want to get some video on the Raw 580. I'm going to continue testing the batteries and pushing on those a little bit, and we'll fly the Edge 540 and see how it does. Hopefully the weather is going to be good tomorrow, and I think Fred will be there. So we may have the three amigos together tomorrow. It should be Dave, Fred, and John. We should all be there. So it should be a good day at the field. We should have fun. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of the Pilot Jam. I think we are out of content. Yep, we are. That's the last segment I had for tonight. So I'll remind you guys, if you like this kind of content, a thumbs up would really be helpful. Thanks to my patrons. I really appreciate you guys for everything you do supporting the channel. I really do. It's meaningful. So thank you. You guys help me bring more content and experiment and try different things. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Here's the other experiment that's going on. I'm working on that too. This is the 21700 experiment, right? I got the trays from AliExpress. I'm going to see what I think about this, and if it, if it makes my life simpler when it comes to managing the batteries and the radios and all that stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks to the patrons. I appreciate you guys for helping support the channel, and for all, I'll tell you what. When I got into the session tonight, I saw all the names popping in, and all the regular people that come in and week out and say hello, glad to be here. Hey fellas, how's it going? I just want you to know I appreciate you guys too. It's great to see. I know we're a small crew, but we're a dedicated crew. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys spending your Friday evenings with me. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your night. And I definitely hope you can get out there and fly something. That's all I've got for today. Take it easy.